Our reporter Michael Apple is following this story and joins me now in studio for more. We've just heard the Home Affairs Minister there, Michael, and he says he's going to pop those passport applications into a safe. Can he do that?
He's going to pop it into a safe for safekeeping. So whether that means it's going to be potentially looked at later, all it means for the moment that we know is that he's not going to deal with it now. He's not going to process it now. And whether or not it's legal is for an attorney or a legal expert to tell us. Strictly speaking, they are naturalized South African citizens. So why should this application to renew their passports not be treated as such? Is there anything we should know about? He does obviously pick up on the fact that there are two arms of the state here. One, which is the Justice Minister, Ronald Lamola, along with the MPA head, Shamila Batoy. They jet off to Dubai to, he called it the repatriation of the Guptas, try and get them extradited, because there are a number of questions around state capture and their involvement as the kingpins of this, which bled the South African taxpayer and the government of tens of billions potentially. So you have one arm of government which has gone to repatriate them. He says at the same time you cannot have another arm of government processing their documentation.
But surely if the Guptas are hotly desired at the State Capture Commission, it might be good to have their South African passports renewed so that they can then use them to come back into the country. What's the Commission going to make of all this, do you think?
Well, the State Capture Inquiry has made no secret of the fact that they want the Guptas to come and give their version on the record. The Guptas have said that they're not going to come. So one can only make the assumption, as the Minister did. He's the Minister of Home Affairs. He can check on his records to see when last these passports were renewed, when they were issued, and they will know how long they're valid for. So his assumption is that they're not renewing these because they're going to fall out of validity. It's because the passport pages are too full. So perhaps he should issue them with the passport so that they can come and account at the State Capture Inquiry, who desperately wants their version on the record.
And interesting that you mentioned the question of legality here, because if it's too personalised, if a Home Affairs Minister has presumptions about a family or members of a family who have not been convicted in a court of law in South Africa as yet, surely that raises some interesting questions about the nature of processing passport applications.
So, due process. We know that it's been flouted in the past, certainly to their benefit. If you just Google Gupta's naturalization, a whole host of articles will pop up speaking about how the former Minister of Home Affairs, the former Minister of Finance, Malusi Gigaba, how that issue caused such a massive stink. And the Home Affairs Portfolio Committee in March this year, a draft report found that the decision to grant them citizenship was incorrect. And it was a man called Ashu Chawla, a very well-known Gupta lieutenant, who appealed directly to Malusi Gigaba, reportedly, to, under exceptional circumstances, grant them naturalization. So due process wasn't followed there. There was a man at the Indian High Commission, a man called a Home Affairs official, Major Kobese. He was basically the point guy for the Guptas to be able to process all their applications at the snap, a click of a finger. So he would work with Ashu Chawla, they would flout processes, and things would be fast-tracked. So here, are we not having due process followed by the Minister sticking it in a safe? There would need to be reasons given why the Home Affairs Minister is not going to consider it at this time. I think that's fair.
Certainly. Two interesting things here, Mike. The one is, of course, that the U.S. Treasury has put all three Gupta brothers and business associate Salim SA on a sanctioned list, which profoundly restricts their business activities and any assets that are in the United States. The other thing is that, of course, we know about many allegations of flouting Home Affairs process through Gupta-owned companies, ANN7, for example, which included Duduzane Zuma as a business partner through BEE's Mabangela Investments. So these two sort of elements are coming to the fore here as we hear that the Home Affairs Minister is going to chuck those passport applications into a safe.
Yes. And, you know, I think Ajay Gupta is certainly one person that law enforcement wants to speak to, that the state capture inquiry wants to speak to. And it was Ajay Gupta, the quote, Dudizane Zuma says, "That's my guy. I think I have the right
It was
Gupta."
Tony
Was
Gupta.
that Tony Gupta?
Yeah.
All right. But the way that the Justice Minister, the MPA heading over there, they certainly have given the impression that there is a case to answer to here for a host of the allegations that they faced in the past. So if they desperately need that passport, I think it's up to Home Affairs now to decide. Everybody needs to know, the left hand needs to know what the right hand is doing. And if it helps get them here, then it certainly should be encouraged.
A Christmas present. I will tell you about Ajay Gupta, that he apparently is the Gupta brother who wore a prominent ring and is the patriarch of the family.
Ah.
There we go. Michael
Right.
Apple, thank you for your reporting on that. Michael Apple is following that story on the Gupta brothers' applications to renew their South African passports.